So, as I do this video, I'm undergoing one of the most brutalist years of my life, aside from 2022, which I thought was the worst year of my life. So it's 2024 is in competition with 2022. I feel exhausted, so I needed to pause there to just break from everything, including how I'm feeling today. But this video, I will say that I'm at my rock bottom. I'm at my lowest in my rock bottom. And the pain, the level of pain that I feel is it's indescribable. It's like I'm numb to the pain because when it first came on, it was unbearable and it was unspeakably unbearable. But life goes on and I keep living, and I am in pain, but I've reached past the pain bar, past my tolerance, and it's like I'm at the numb stages. Because when you're in for the body, so when the physical body experiences intense or terrible or unspeakable physical pain, especially like if somebody was to get something cut off or whatever, because I don't want to be graphic, that pain level is so high, and then it becomes so terribly high that the part of the brain steps in where it begins to put you in shock. It numbs you to the pain, like you go into shock. I've heard this for people that have gone through that and then maybe died or something, or lived through that pain. God bless these people, or blessings to these people. And so that's kind of what I describe how my mind and my soul feels, is that the pain bar was so high, and then now I'm at a stage where it's like I'm in shock or I'm numb to it, and I'm just living, like I'm just going on. And it's really, really dark where I am. It's really, really dark. And I'm not talking about in terms of night and day. I'm talking about spiritually, emotionally, mentally. It's really, really dark for me. It's very dark mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically even, Right now, as I do this video, I'm in a lot of pain, and my body is acting in a way that's really weird. And I'm doing everything I can to just keep it under control, but I'm trying to prevent whatever from coming on. And I have something called depersonalization disorder that I got in 2022 that made things unbearable for me. That's why it was the worst year of my life. The end of 2022 was the worst part of the year for me. Excuse me, sorry. But I had dinner a moment ago. And so see, I'm already wheezing because my body is doing the thing that I don't want it to do. So I'm just looking out for medication near me. But I'm going to keep going. So I have something called depersonalization disorder. And it is very high right now. It's at a point where it's really high. And by high, I mean there's levels of it where it's tolerable, and then there's levels of it where it just feels intolerable and painful. And so I'm doing this video while dealing with a sort of intolerable or painful level of it. And it's been like that for days. And one thing I've noticed is depersonalization or derealization actually gets worse when things go bad. So for those in the community that suffer the same way, keep in mind that if you're going through a tough season, it may get bad. And so I'm just here with you right now because I'm going through it. And I got my inhaler, so I'm going to take that right now. Just to keep things from SH hitting the fan. So it's really bad right now. And a lot of it consists of I've lost a lot this year. A lot of losses and a lot of blocked doors. Unbelievable amount of blocked doors. And you know, when I talk of, so why I do this video first and foremost is because I want this video to be up there for people who you are in a place like me or even worse. I want this video to serve as a place for you to not feel alone. You don't feel alone in your rock bottom because I'm going through it right now. I'm at my lowest that I've ever been. I can't even believe it. And you might be in a state of disbelief or shock just like I am. And I've never gone through anything like this, but there was one blocked door that I went through recently, another one, and it left me so debilitated and broken. I became physically ill. And then what happened was I descended into shaking. My body began to go into these little mini panic attacks, and my body would just shake. And I wasn't well. I couldn't really eat. There's elements of that right now. I'm just in recovery. But I've never gone through that. The last time I went through that was when I first got depersonalization, where I was shaking almost every day, and the anxiety episodes were so terrible. The way that I would shake, you would really see me trembling. Like I would just be sitting there shaking, you know. And even eating was so hard. I couldn't eat. I stopped eating for a bit. I lost a lot of weight. So a mini version of that took place. And you know, I kept thinking that, wow, this is what I'm going through, but I have to keep going. So again, I do this video because I don't want anyone that is in my situation or worse, I don't want you to feel alone at all. You're more than welcome to cry with me. Well, I won't be crying in this video because I'm numb. I can't cry right now. But you're more than welcome to break down or cry. However way you're feeling, you're more than welcome to just feel the way you feel. But what I want you to feel is safety and understanding, because I get it. There's so many videos of people telling you to, you know, you'll come out, or like this and that, or whatever. All these motivational videos of people talking about coming out of rock bottom. And they're good, but very rare to find a rock bottom motivational video from somebody going through a rock bottom. And this is just this video for you. So I want to talk about my losses, and you can relate or not to them. And then I also want to talk a few about my blocked doors, because they're really terrible. Some of them are legal, and I can't even go into the deep legal issues. So the first one was losing my dream job. And how it happened was, it was a slow process. You know, it began emotionally and then physically. Because I joined the dream job, It was amazing in the beginning, and I loved every bit of it. And then emotionally, I started to pull away because the hours were so grueling. And so it was no longer becoming a dream job. And then I remember having this very vivid dream of losing the job and ending back at my parents' place. And I denied that dream. I denied that dream. And sure enough, here I am living the reality of that dream. And I lost the job because I ended up having to move far away from it, and the hours were too much. And I just was looking out for something that could be better for myself, my time, and whatnot. Another thing that I lost was my film series, my series I was working on. I'm a filmmaker and a musician. At the time of doing this video, I know that sounds silly, but that's kind of what I do for anyone who may find this video floating around online. So I'm a filmmaker and I'm a musician, and I'm not a big one. I'm not an acclaimed one at all, but I'm not acclaimed in all those areas, but I do those things. And there was a TV series that I was working on, and my goal was to have it done by May of this year. And then it went past May and past June, past July. You see where I'm going. And part of the reason why it collapsed was because of the hours at this job. And of course, this great disorganization on my end too, because I don't want to completely blame the job. I've done a lot of soul searching and digging in myself. I realized there's been a lot that I've done wrong, and I have a part to play in my rock bottom too. And so a lot of disorganization and loss of time. And at the very end, I had to terminate the remainder of my series. And I remember emailing the rest of the cast that it was gonna go down, that I was killing it. And a lot of them were understanding, but I felt really bad because it was another blow. And it was more of a dig at my film reputation too, with the people that knew me. So I sank my reputation. And I know there's been a lot of people, even in the past, with great disorganization in my end with filmmaking. And I'm learning a lot now. I'm learning how to proceed in the future, but I know that I don't have an amazing reputation, with so much so that like there was a girl, an actress that appeared in an older short film that I did, and I remember I was trying to reach out to her, but she never responded. She never acknowledged me. And I kind of noticed that behavior with others, and I would think there was something wrong with them, but it was really me, because I feel like the disorganization on my part really just tanked my reputation. So I'm a little bit insecure right now moving forward with future projects. Like, I just don't have any strong will in me to really put casting calls out there concerning them, because I feel very ashamed of myself, you know. And um and so here again, I had to cut my film project off, and now we don't know what others are thinking of me, but I know it's not good. It's really not good at all. And so I lost my TV series, you know, and or my short, shouldn't say TV. It was never going to premiere on TV. I'm too broke for that. Literally, you know, I'm a short filmmaker. I'm an indie filmmaker, and I'm not an expensive, lavish, glamorous one at all. And so it was a series that I was doing that I had to terminate. And then I got an apartment. I was rooming with people. The way that I got it was so miraculous, and I had roommates, but in the end, I lost that apartment too. I had to move out because of some things that had come up. And it was really a golden moment for me, just putting up everything. I remember moving in and feeling like everything was going to go right, and building my bed and cleaning and listening to music and thinking, wow, I'm here, like this is what I dreamed, and now I'm here, it's gone. The dream is gone. It died. And more deaths followed. Um, I had got another job. I'm a caregiver, so I got it with a new agency. I lost a couple clients because, unfortunately, both clients, it was very hard. Caregiving is not an easy thing to do, and there tends to be a lot of work sometimes with individuals. But in the past, I've really had good luck with clients with other agencies where, like, it wasn't terrible amounts of work, like I'd be allowed to sit and just do minor work. But recent clients have been so hard to just be with, and it's not to blame them, it's just that they require a lot of care. I feel like they need at least two caregivers on the job, and I was only one, and I couldn't do it anymore because it was so hard on my body, and I just felt many times my mind sink in the lowest places. I cried, here and there, and I was in so much pain I couldn't move sometimes. I'd come home and sit, and I felt like I couldn't move. I got diagnosed this year with a knee syndrome. That's another loss, is the ability to walk long distances like I used to. And it came on at my dream job. And I had to leave my dream job hastily because the pain was terrible. I actually went to the ER twice. And so it's called patellofemoral syndrome. It's a weird one where, I don't know, it's dealing with the knees. And so I'm dealing with that. And this pain comes on when I'm doing hefty work, heavy duty work. I have back problems too. I know that if I do a lot of heavy labor, my back begins to get in a lot of pain. So I have knee pain and I have back pain at my young age. And so those are my losses, those are some of my losses. When it comes to music, I had plans for music videos. Even the year before, I also had plans for music videos, and that's kind of sunk because of how hard this year has been. And I'm trying my best to be good, online, like to really formulate my presence well, but just the everything going on at once, it's like sinking me low. And now we're going to go into the blocked doors. So financially, it's been very difficult since I was young because it started with my family and then it moved on to the children. And that's kind of how it happens, is when we are born in places where financially it's very bad, what's likely to happen is the kids will carry on that legacy too, unless they decide to break out of that legacy or cycle. Poverty is a cycle, I believe. Well, not believe, it's really a thing to witness in real life. It's a cycle unless broken. Unfortunately, that's kind of been the thing on my end, is that I've inherited poor choices, and also I'm living in circumstances that have really just knocked me off my feet financially. And of course, and this is something that I want people with mental health problems to understand, is when we're all alone, especially when there's no support, when we have very bad mental illnesses at play, what is likely to happen is it's going to impact your finances on such a high level. And I learned this through various resources online on YouTube. I learned this through not various, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of other things. I learned this through one or two like therapists or so on YouTube. Um, but not a whole lot of people understand that. That, you know, that can be a thing, is that coming from these homes, a broken home, if you're coming from a broken home, you're guaranteed to struggle financially. And so that's kind of the reality that's playing out on my end is I am coming from a broken home. And I'm coming not only with broken home elements, but with a broken mind too. And of course, it's going to reap terrible things on your finances. And I feel sorry for my sibling, my sister, and so because it's us who are older, there's a little one that we have that's younger than us, and we've had to struggle a lot, throughout the years financially because we weren't really taught well there, you know. And so, for anyone listening, if you, especially for my mental health sufferers, you've gone through a lot in life, from childhood with your mental health, and you're in a very deep financial situation, a very bad one. Don't blame yourself. I know I blame myself, but I shouldn't be doing that. But don't blame yourself because it's not your fault. You did not get the support you needed, and you did not get the help that was needed, you know. And I guess we start from here because that's kind of my journey now is I've been learning a lot. I've been understanding why things are the way they are and why the messes that I have now are the way they are because of poor or mental health issue or poor mental health. And also for those that you don't have a lot going on mentally, or maybe you do, but it's really been a circumstantial thing, if I hope I said that word right. So you've directly inherited poverty cycles from your family, and you're now living in those consequences, and there's hope. I know that I am in the lowest of my rock bottom, but there is hope. There is a lot of hope out there. And the first hope that I want to give you or us is the hope of realization is understanding that this is really not our fault. It's not our fault. And we deserve better. We've always have since we were children. And so I hope that can comfort anyone listening. But financially, right now, I am in a very hot seat. And I know it's controversial to say this as a filmmaker or a musician, because, with those two areas, there's a lot of money and glam behind that. But for struggling filmmakers, struggling talent, let's just go ahead and say struggling talent, these things are very real for a lot of us, that struggle in the talent in area or industry, is we will find ourselves really going through the mud or going through the motions in order to accomplish our dream. Our dream is the only thing that keeps us alive and even going amidst this darkness. And I know that's my reality now, is that my filmmaking part of my side is what's keeping me going. It's keeping me going. And even my music, it's the currency that I have. When I have no currency, this is the only currency that I have, and that's a lot of people right now in this area is, you're defining yourself by the amount of money you're not making. But the currency that you have right now, the reward, is your dream. And all we have is to hang on to that dream or currency. And that's what I'm doing right now, even if there's nothing right now. And there's a lot of realization that I'm getting from my broken area, is I'm learning a lot, even in the shock state that I am, is that I'm learning a lot. And it's so ironic because the next project that I'm working on, that I'm sure to work on, because I've been considering what the next move is, what's the next thing Michelle's going to work on, what's the next series or whatever, or film, whatever. And I know what is next because it suits what I'm going through. The message behind it is very important. And I don't know if I can talk about it here or in a different video, but maybe a different video. But it's centered around, it's really around loss. It's really around loss. It's centered around loss, but it's really centered around overcoming great losses. And the filmmakers that are the creators of this series, because this is a tribute series that I'm doing, another tribute, because I did a Skyrim tribute film. I did a Lord of the Rings something, and I love that Lord of the Rings something. It's called The Lands. And this is another one. And ironically, I didn't think I'd ever return to this tribute. But there's been so many signs that have just really just pointed me in this direction. It's like something was waiting for the right time. And I remember I did a small tribute many years ago to this series or this film franchise, many years ago. And I just had this inclination to do it, to do a series for this. But I said, no, no. Because when I did it, it was a tribute little film, very small, micro little thing I did. But now it's kind of boomeranged back, and I'm holding on to this boomerang, and there's just so much that I want to do with it, and it suits a lot of what I'm going through, and it really suits and honors the creators, what they were going through, because when they did the final film for this franchise, one of the directors was talking about loss. And this will be covered in a video or so I'll do once I premiere what I will be doing. They were talking about loss and how they couldn't process that kind of loss. But doing this film series, or the final film, was a way to cope or to process. And I feel like this series too is a way for me to cope, or to even just to go on surviving. And so it's a gift I'd hope for the creators, if they'd see it one day. I'd hope that they could find comfort in this series too, because it's my crutch right now. And there are other things that I'll do, but I do want to say that there are probably projects out there for anyone in the talent film or even outside. There's things out there that are waiting for you to jump back in, because there's healing there, or maybe you need time away, to just process and get back on track. And I'm also doing that. I've been very quiet on all my social media platforms, and I wasn't like this before. I actually have a little film platform I'm trying to grow, and I was so abundant with posting many months ago and even the years before, but this has been my most silent season. And it's because there's a lot that I'm really just processing right now and trying to survive and overcome. And yeah, but going back to the financial stuff, financially, it's really hard. And then there's a legal thing that is actually blocking me financially. And it is so hard to fathom this kind of blocked door disappointment or loss. It's really scary. And for a lot of people in this situation, the only option would be to check out, and I know that those were a few things that came to my mind, was to check out. But then I started listening to David Goggins, and motivational speaker David Goggins, and I remember reading about him and how much he had been through. He had been through real hell, very real hell, and he brings me comfort, even though he does not want to bring anyone comfort in this. He's very harsh, and he's very to the truth about things. He'll curse you out in the video the whole way through. And I need that because it's like the defibrillators in the hospital when your pulse stops, they put that thing on you to check you back into life, to put you back into life. And I feel like he is a defibrillator in this season where I feel dead a lot of the times, and it's more like, no, keep going. And I feel like for a lot of you listening who are, you're almost to the checking out point, you're actually there because, again, this is for anyone that is at rock bottom, at their lowest. It's so easy to want to clock out. It's really easy to want to clock out. It's really easy to do it sometimes, depending on where you're at, because you can just go and do it. And it's so easy because I remember reading on a Reddit group for those wanting to end their lives, somebody had written down, and I remember we the comments, we reached out to this person. We were like, are you still alive? Are you still there? Are you here? Because I was so worried, and I'm still part of these groups, and there's just so many people that are going to check out and ready to check out. And we who comment, we do our best, and we're like, we're here for you, come talk to us, we're worried about you, please let us know you're okay. And these are fellow people who are feeling like checking out. They're, you just get touched by seeing other people, including myself, that want to check out, that really do care about others. And we don't want that. We don't want that for anybody. And so one day somebody had written, I'm just gonna go out and lay on the train tracks. And I think they had reached the train tracks, and they were on the train tracks. They were writing to us, and they were like, well, I'm on the train tracks, and I'm gonna go ahead and you know end my life. I'm just waiting for the train to come. And we just wrote to this person. We were like, oh my gosh, please let us know you're okay. Please, I hope everything's okay. And I remember I was so worried when I read this. And some of these messages, this is where I try not to be emotional, they break your heart because the people are really ready to do it, and they've been ready for a while. And the one person that wrote that they were on the train tracks, they said, I think it was a day later, they were like, I'm okay. The train never came anyway. And we were all, I remember feeling like a breath of like fresh air. Like I was just like, oh, thank God this person didn't go, And so for anyone that is on the train tracks right now, you are ready to go. And I say that significantly, not literally, like you are just about ready to just check out. It's not time to check out. And I know I am facing so much in my life. It's really, really bad. But I know better, and I've been very close to doing that to myself, like taking myself out. And every time I remember how much I really care about my body, how much I really love it, and how much I don't want to see it undergo the things that I've seen go on in my mind. I don't want to see it bleed, or I don't want to see it go through even more torture than it already has been through. And there was this video, and I need to watch it, but it was a young, beautiful Asian girl, and it was a very touching video, and I think it was meant for those of us who may feel like checking out. But it was a video about how the title was, your body will fight for you more than you will. Like it's the thing, it will keep fighting for you. Like even when it's sick, it works harder than us to keep well. It works harder than our minds to just keep well. It'll do everything it can to just keep going to heal. And I think about that video, and I try not to get emotional. And so I remember my body. I remember my body. And I remember how I don't want to do that to my body, because I've been through a lot, and I really can't put my physical body through that. Because what if you do survive the train running all over you? What if you do survive jumping off the building? What if you survive the gunshot to your head? What if you survive taking the pills, all those pills? What if you survive hanging yourself? You know, what if you survive it? What if you do survive drowning, or whatever, however way you were planning to end your life? What if you do survive it? Because you have to live with the aftermath of those things. You have to live with your body now working harder than ever before just to keep up. And you don't deserve that. Not after everything you've been through. And I feel like you can just hang on with me for anyone that is trying to check out. You can hang on with me because I'm at my lowest that I've ever been in my life. I thought 2022 was bad until I met 2024. And 2022 was a year that tried to break me. And 2024 is the year that took from me. And I know that I've lost so much. And maybe you have too, and you feel like it's so unbearable. But you have to keep going. Because I'm going. I'm going. I'm continuing to keep going. I know that you don't want to finish the race. You don't want to end it. You just want to stay where you're at. And I was there too. I didn't want to move from my spot either. But it's still there. And we can keep going. And I don't know how everything from this point on is going to look. I really don't know. But I feel like all we've got is to just take care of ourselves no matter what happens to us the best way that we can. And maybe you've had people take that away from you when you were a kid. Just the ability to feel like you could take care of yourself. Like I mentioned with the cycles, with losing your finances. Or the cycle of just poverty. You've never known how to take care of yourself. But this is where we can start. This is where we do start. We can learn together as I'm learning. And so I do this video. I don't know where I'm going to be. And I don't know what's going to happen. Honestly, I don't know. But there are some resources I'll put in the bio that if they don't help me, I hope can help you to get out at least. And I want to reserve this place for those at the very lowest, at the bottom of the iceberg. I've only found out about icebergs because there's something called a film iceberg or different film icebergs. Then you have theory icebergs or whatever. But let's talk about life, a life iceberg. So you have those at the top that have it really bad. But those at the bottom, the very bottom, it's so bad. It's so black you can't see yourself. You know how they say when you're at night, in the dead of night, you can't see anything in front of you, even your hands. That's you guys. You're at the bottom. And I don't want to forget you guys. Sometimes a lot of us may think we have it bad until we meet those who have it worse. And the people that I think about are the people that are trapped in homes where you're surrounded by violence. And you can't leave or you can't escape. It feels like there's no way that actually there is no way out. And the only survival you have is you living and breathing. And there are other people in similar scenarios. I think about homelessness and everything. I think about the migrants. That is another bottom of the iceberg. Is in a scenario where you've fled from a home that was a literal terror to come home to another form of terror, which is not much help financially, really no place in society because, well, you don't know the country, you don't know the land, and you don't know the way things work, so you can't really work or make money or make a life for yourself. You're still on the streets, you'll end up on the streets. And so I feel like that's a bottom of the iceberg. And even being kidnapped, never seeing your family, but remaining alive, but never seeing your family. That's a bottom. And so for anybody in those situations that maybe you may even not have an opportunity to go outside, or you have few opportunities to go outside, but you're able to come online, this video is also for you. And I reserved this spot for you. And I'm trying not to cry. But I want you to keep going, even if it looks so bleak. And I always want you to understand how valuable you are. You've always been valuable. You've always been important. And unfortunately for people that may not speak English, I think about the migrants. I see their faces, and I've seen some very beautiful migrants, and they're not all evil. I remember walking by 3 of them, and I try not to cry. And they gave me the biggest smiles. They didn't ask me for anything. They didn't ask me for food. But they gave me a very big smile. All 3 of them. One of them was a kid. And I remember thinking, I've got to get them something. And I did. And then they were trying to thank me in their language. And I guess I said a little prayer for them in my heart. But they were so kind. And you could really feel it. Like, they didn't want to bother you. The ones that I've seen, they don't want to bother people. They just ask for money and they want you to buy things from them. They're trying to work while on the streets, which is very diligent, They're very resilient because a lot of us in those positions wouldn't work. We'd give up. But they just keep going. They sell things. And no matter who they are, no matter what they have, they're still people, and they'll always be of value. I don't define them by papers. I don't define them by whatever. I think about, and it's Native American or indigenous, it's a Native American history. It's the Native American History Month. So this is a month for the indigenous. And I think about how they were the first people in this land. And many years later, we've said otherwise. The books have said otherwise, or the atmosphere of this country has just really just done a number to those people. And when the people that fled from Britain, when they came here, the indigenous folks actually were willing to help them survive this land. I remember reading that. They helped them. But tables have turned. And so I like to rebel in that way and just say that these people are people, Because many years ago, the people that came and now have descendants and living well in this country, they were in the same position too. They were scared and they had to get somewhere. They were trying to make a life for themselves somewhere amazing. you know? And that's a controversial thought for a lot of people. But I'd hope the people at rock bottom can consider that these people are people too. And we should really help each other. And for those in abusive homes, especially children or adults, you know, I'm with you. And I really believe in you. And you got this. There's a girl that I encountered today online. And I want to get permission to feature her in one of my projects upcoming, or feature one of her creations on a project of mine, because I discovered that this poor girl had gone through a very terrible life at home. And I want to use her for the project that I mentioned with loss, dealing with loss, because there was a lot of common feeling, like common ideas shared that I felt could really play a good part in this project. And then I got to the personal aspects that she'd put up, and I found, I try not to get emotional again, a short film that she did that was very, very personal. And there were things involved in that film that I felt should be private, but understood that they were public. And I just was crying by the end of it, because I was thinking about everything that she'd went through dealing with the abuse at home. And there was more loss. And so I was thinking, and I think I even wrote back, I actually left the comment. I said, I've gone through things, but I think you've gone through more, and I'm so sorry. And I think about kids and adults that have come from those homes where you've had to deal with violence on a great level. And there's not a whole lot of YouTube videos that are going to tell you how to survive that. I found out. There's not a whole lot of resources and programs out there, even in schools, unfortunately, that are going to prepare you for how to deal with home. And it's hard to understand that there are children in those situations that go home and hours later they're left screaming because their mother is beating them or their father is abusing them or whatever. And so if anyone in that position was to find my video or the videos that is at rock bottom is not a month, it's not a year. It's been many years for you. And my thing is just to keep going. To just show up to school and to work as hard as you can in school, to stay focused on getting good grades, because there are ways to get out of your homes. And sometimes one of those ways, I believe, is getting a scholarship to a good college because of those good grades. And so I'd say stay focused in school, because you never know where those good grades are going to take you. They might be the ones to give you the wings to fly out of your homes. And then getting a good job, finding a job, working. It might not be the ideal job right now. It might be a job that is washing dishes, serving people, waiting tables, cashier. The manager may be awful, but save money. Save as much money as you can as you work. Save so that you can, by the time you are very much grown, you have enough to get your own place and to get out of where you're at. And don't say anything either. Don't say anything about what you have to these people that you're surrounded by. And even with grades, keep to yourself. Keep to yourself. And if you can, be vocal about what's going on at home to teachers that really do care. Because you never know. There are teachers that really do care about you, that are willing, that would be more than willing to help you. And there is Matilda, and I remember the teacher, her name was a very nice name, and I'd like to think I've met a couple of those teachers in my life they didn't, of course, I was not going through terror on that level at home, but they were really nice teachers. And I think her name was Miss Honey, I think that was her name. And Matilda, if you really look at Matilda's life at home, her name was Miss Honey. If you really look at Matilda's life at home was also awful because she was going through different forms of abuse and neglect. And the movie's a kid's film, so they had to put humor in it. They had to kind of humorize it. But in reality, it was really terrible. And Miss Honey was Matilda's light. And there are teachers out there that really do care about you. And believe it or not, this might help, but going into an emergency room and reporting of your illness to the emergency room, or reporting of whatever abuse scars, or RAP, what scars to them, because they might be able to help you formulate evidence of whatever's happening to you, And friends can play a part in helping you too, finding and locating the right friends. But I say all these things so that you can find ways, any kind of way, to help you escape. And for my individuals suffering from domestic violence, you're in homes where you're in complete terror. Your partner has taken everything from you, even your own legal documents. Because I remember I met a friend who was going through this, and I was young. I didn't understand how serious this was because I actually spoke to her partner who was doing this, and he tried to make up excuses too about what he was going through. He was going through his own torment, but he put my friend through torment too, worse torment. And he took away legal papers. He took away things that were legal that she needed in order to survive. And she finally got away from him, and she had 2 beautiful children. I remember it was a beautiful Asian woman, my friend, and I remember her, and there were some things she shared with me. And the one thing that I don't forget is she shared with me her dream. And she said that she dreamt of working with animals, but she was so consumed with motherhood, so that dream was forgotten. But I remember thinking to myself, I said, if only I could take her to a zoo or something, or if we could go to the zoo or get her around something, I could get her a book about animals. I was so young. I was thinking about my friend, and she had these 2 beautiful Asian babies. They were beautiful. And I remember just thinking about my friend, and she opened up to me about what she was going through, about how this guy took away her papers in order for her to get out, and she would cry. She was really miserable. I remember she was really, really miserable. And finally she got away, and that's when I interacted with him. But I remember confronting the guy, and then he stopped talking to me. And then no matter what torment he was going through, it was still no excuse for him to hold that woman trapped like that. Absolutely no excuse. And I have mental health issues, and I believe, and this plays in part with another video I want to do about dating and singleness and how I prefer not to date. In fact, I'm pursuing being single even for most of my life because I really want to tend to my mental health issues. But I feel like just because you suffer mentally and emotionally does not mean that you turn that person into a punching bag. You know, it's not an opportunity for you to outlash and to terrorize people that love you. And that's what he was doing. And so she's gone, but that was a message for anyone in a domestic violent relationship that may find this, is those people don't make excuses. I'm sorry. As much as I would want those people to have support and help, you're not their crutch. You cannot treat them. They need more help than what you can provide. Right now, your safety, your well-being is way more important right now. And the safety and well-being of your children is very important right now. And for a lot of you, it's time to go. You cannot stay. My phone had died during the video, so I'm doing this on my iPad. But I guess I can try and wrap it up. But for a lot of you, it's time to go. It really is. And this goes for both both women and men in abusive relationships. It's just time to go. You have been through so much, okay? And, that might be controversial for me to pull up as men in abusive relationships, but this is a reality. And I've really done research, and I've been a part of online communities where you've had men talk about their stories, about what they went through. And a lot of it is emotional abuse too, or a lot of it is emotional abuse, and very few where it involves physical abuse, or a lot of physical abuse, but I mean in other areas, but that would be in different videos for the future. But whether man or woman, or woman or man, whatever, it's time to go. It really is. And you cannot stay. And for my women that are too scared to leave, I want you to find bravery today in being able to decide that it's time to go. You can't stay. You've been making so many excuses, and your friends, your family, there's a lot of people that haven't seen you in a very long time because this person has taken that away from you. And you just can't keep letting that happen. And for some of you, you might be too afraid to be alone. You're afraid to be alone. It is better for you to be alone than to be in a scenario where you'll be forever heartbroken and traumatized. And so, we talk about rock bottoms tonight. And again, you can more than hang out with me. And I'm just here for anyone that is just really going through it right now. I'm just going to be here for a little bit. Just be slightly quiet. Just be slightly silent. Just to let you just breathe or just cry. Just to vent. It may be the worst night of your life. It may be the worst year. It might feel like you just can't keep doing this anymore. You just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It may be the worst day of your life. It is by far the worst day of your life. But you know what? You're going to get through this. I know you will. I know that you can't fathom anything that you've been through recently or over the years. You feel like it's not fair. You feel like, why me? Is this ever going to end? And it will end. And even if it doesn't end, you can still keep going. Just continue to be brave. That's what David Goggins has been teaching me. He says things like the battle will continue and that it really doesn't stop. You have to keep going. And I believe him. He's right. For a lot of us, the battle is going to continue. But you can just be brave and just keep going. I'm still here. You can just stay with me for a little bit. I'm still here. You can just cry. I remember on one of the worst nights of my life, I was sick. I went to the ER, and I remember the wait was so long. It was a community hospital, and I had not made it to the back, and I was in so much pain. And I left that ER because I couldn't stand it anymore. I said, you know what, I might as well recover at home. And I remember leaving the ER, and I couldn't walk. I was dizzy and I couldn't see, and I was crying. I was crying, and I had barely enough on my phone, and then I waited for a while. I called an Uber, and I never forget the walk, though, to the spot where I called the Uber again. I was crying, and it was so bleak, and it was nighttime. And then when I called my Uber, I got in, and I just was still crying. And the Uber driver, she could see that I was crying, and she just started talking to me. She was very nice, and she was young, and, young like me, and she just was doing her best to just comfort me. She was an angel of light that day that I needed, and I did feel safe crying in the car. And I really remember that she was very kind. And I kept apologizing. I was just saying, I'm so sorry for crying. And you might feel that way. You might feel shamed, especially for my men. It's okay to cry in this video. It's been so awful for you. Wherever you're coming from, it's been so awful for you. And fun fact is, there have been films and there have been scenarios, even in real life, where I've cried with men. And so I cry with you. I really do. I cry for you and I cry with you. I cry for you because it's so hard. And I understand being a man, there's a lot that you have to face, or you're said to face. You're supposed to face it as a man. And it's funny because I was watching Jumanji, and there's a scene where the character Alan Parrish, portrayed by Robin Williams, the young version of him, is running away from bullies, on his bike. He's trying his best to get away from these bullies because they find him, and then he lands at his father's factory. And then he gets up there, and he tries to tell his dad what's going on, you know, after interacting with the one guy. I love the guy who plays the police officer, David Alan Grier. So he's interacting with him, his character, for a bit. And then the dad comes and he says, "What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here." And then he tries to tell his dad, the bullies here. And I think the dad, he kind of, well, it was, I think the dad knew something was going on with that. And he says, again, well, I told you to face it like a man and whatever. And you could see the boy's face visibly sink. And he looks outside the window, and the boys, it's more than one boy, the bullies are breaking his bike and or messing up his bike. And so um you know he has no choice but to go back out there alone to face those boys because his dad told him to man up. And in the end, he got beaten up and his nose was bloodied. And he got home, and the mother told the dad about the incident, that it was more than one boy. And the dad was like, oh, if I'd known, I probably would have come up, but at least you faced it like a man. I'm proud of you. And I remember just being disturbed watching that. And I kept thinking to myself, that little boy was all by himself and he needed somebody there. And that's a lot of men right now. You've grown up like that, where there really was no support at all. You were left on your own, and you had to man up all by yourself in the worst and most traumatic circumstances. And you're still processing from these kind of pains. And anytime you try to be emotional about these things, you're shot down, because you're supposed to man up, right? And my friend, that I had a friend, that's another major loss of mine, is I lost a friend to murder this year. He was murdered, and it was on the news, and I didn't know about it until months later when his mother told me. And my friend, he was a really broken person inside and out. He was really broken by life. And come to find out, who did the breaking was his father. And his mother told me about him, how he terrorized both mother and child. And for the remainder of his life, my friend was in complete agony in his soul, and he would cry to me. I remember there was one night I would never forget. My friend, he was on the phone, and it was throughout the night, and he called me and he would cry. And then I was with him, and then at one point he hung up, and then he called again, and he hung up, and he called again, and each time he was crying. And I think this would go on until 4 in the morning, so it was a while. And I look back, and I remember even then I thought to myself that all of it was just okay. It was fine for him to do that to me, because he was going through a lot of torment. And he would talk to me about his dad, and he would say that my dad used to call me, the word, the P word or whatever. Like, he used to call me that, and he would say this, like, I'm not this, and his father broke him, and that's a lot of men, is, you've gone through that. And again, you might be in rock bottom right now. It's okay. Wherever you're at, there is no need to be perfect. There really isn't. And it's okay to cry in this video, especially if you've had enough of so much of what's going on. Because I don't think you're allowed to cry. I know it sounds silly. It's like, of course, Michelle, we can't cry. We're men. You women can cry, but we can't, because we'll be weak, But how about we break the rules for this video? Yes, you can cry, and I'm not going to hold it against you. I really am not. I think even if you were like me, where you descend into panic attacks, because of how terrible things are going. That's okay too. You're only human, and it's okay. I'm just gonna remain here for a little bit. I just want to be who I was that day when my friend called and I was just on the phone listening. You could just let it out. That everything's going to be okay. I think we need to hear that. I think we need to hear that, that no matter what, that we're going to survive this. It might take a while. There's a song that I was listening to that is part of a series that I really like by the title Ghost in the Shell. And growing up, my sister and I, we loved anime, watching anime at night. And Ghost in the Shell was one of those animes that would come out or come on at night. And a big part of our anime journey was we loved music in anime. And I would just wait for the Ghost in the Shell intro. And then that's it. And I'd go to bed. And I believe that was a mistake because I should have been watching the series because it's a really good series based on some episodes I'd seen. And so we both deep dived into the music of Ghost in the Shell. And there's one song that you guys can listen to. It's called I Do by Ilaria Graziano. I Do, and it'll be in the bio of this video. But the lyrics match what we're going through with it. The song seems a little bit sad, but the lyrics offer hope. And at the very end of the song, she says, until the end, until the sun rises, I do. Because throughout the music, she's talking about how, for her, she's had to overcome parts of life, or she's learning to overcome parts of life that she's promising to continue to go on despite things being hard. And the sun rising, meaning it may be dark, it may be night where she's at, but until the sun rises, she promises that she will continue on. That's a lot of us. Until the sun rises again, that's all we can do is just push. And then there's a video by Jocko Willink on, you know, you know, S ideation, or I don't want to say the word. I don't know how the censor works, but um, I guess they won't censor that. But suicidal ideation. So he talks about saying the same. He says the same thing at the very end of the video. About how until the sun comes out again, just to continue fighting until the sun comes out. But until then, we just got to keep pushing through. And I guess I can offer my own version of that. That for us, it may be night season for the days to come. And I know that's so hard to hear. I know that wherever you're at, it may be very hard to hear that. But until the sun comes out again for us, we just got to keep pushing. And I believe in you. You can more than do this. Even if it takes time, even if you do need to lay down, even if you need to take momentary pauses to process things, even if it's hard to eat. Because I know that during these days I was trying to eat and I couldn't eat because I was just so depressed and so scared or depersonalized. I had to just close my eyes and stop. But you gotta keep doing it. And you gotta eat. For anyone who stopped eating, you have to eat. Even if it's soft foods for now, even if it's soup, just start there and work your way up. I'm in recovery mode right now. I lost a lot of weight And I'm just getting back my motivation to eat. And so just keep going. Just start there. It's going to remain here for another minute or two, and then I end. And you can come back to this video. How many times or whatever times. I'm still here. You're not alone. I'm still here. You don't deserve this at all. And you deserve better. And you can get through this. I was told I should make ASMR videos. And for anyone who doesn't know what that is, if you look that up, it might be strange because you'll find some strange stuff, but there's some positive ASMR videos. They can be very relaxing. There's some that have saved my life during moments like this. There's a woman by the name of Laura Ostrowski Fenton. She does meditation ASMR videos, even for tough times. I recommend looking her up. I'll leave a video that you can look up. I'm still here. You can survive this. You will get through this. Even if you don't think you will, you can. You can. You can. I believe in you. Just one step at a time. 1 minute at a time. 1 second at a time. You're not alone. I'm going to go. But thank you to whoever watched this. I hope this encouraged you. Might have been a long video, but thank you so much for watching this. You take care.